Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is the 1955 Cleveland Indians AL MLB baseball season. Again, the Tribe was playing in the American League, the junior circuit of Major League Baseball. And home games in Cleveland were played at Cleveland Municipal Stadium, on the spot where First Energy Stadium now stands, downtown Cleveland, north of Public Square on Lake Erie. Tribe had an outstanding year in 1955. They finished in second place with a record of 93-61, 30 games over 500. Really good. Winning percentage of .604, 3 games out of first. The first place team was the New York Yankees, who were 96-58, winning percentage of .623. Second place, the Cleveland Indians, 93-61. Third place, the Chicago White Sox, 91-63. Fourth place, the Boston Red Sox, 84-70. Fifth place, the Detroit Tigers, 79-75. Sixth place, the Kansas City Athletics, 63-91. This was their first year in Philadelphia after moving from first year in Kansas City, after moving from Philadelphia. And actually, Connie Mack came and attended the opening day in Kansas City. Seventh place, the Baltimore Orioles, who were 57-97. And in eighth and last place, the Washington Senators, 53-101, winning percentage of .344, 43 games out of first. On September 14th, the Tribe was in first place with a 1-game lead over the Yankees. That was the high point of the season. Tribe attendance for 1955 was 1,221,780, an average of 15,867 fans per game. William Sheep Jackson, sports editor of the Cleveland Call-and-Post, the city's black weekly newspaper, wrote, quote, "The Indians have been pressing since the World Series with the Giants in 1954. Every single player on the squad who played in the 4 games lost to the New York club have dreamed about it since last fall. They started out this season with the 1954 World Series ringing in their ears. The players heard about it all last winter. They were kidded about it all during spring training. Man, oh man, these fellows are only human. There's just so much this old human body of ours can take." The Tribe lost 3 straight to the Tigers late in the season, and that was that made things tough. And Jackson was critical of Tribe fans, and he wrote, quote, "The fans booed the players unmercifully this year. It was entirely uncalled for. The players resented same. This did not help matters. We can remember the first game against Detroit. There was as much spirit in the crowd as you could find at a wake. The fans were not yelling encouragement. Here was a team in first place. They needed moral support. They didn't get it from the home fans." 1955, the Yankees had their first black player, Elston Howard. On September 30th, actor James Dean was killed in a car accident outside of Bakersfield, California at age 24. Tragic. 1955, Willie Mays of the New York Giants had 51 home runs and 24 stolen bases, and he was an incredible player, the best of Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb. 1955 was the 10th year for the Cleveland Browns football team. The first 4 years were in the All-American Football Conference, the AAFC, and then the next 6 years in the NFL. And all those 10 years they played in the championship game and won 7 championships, 4 in the AAFC and 3 in the NFL. And in 54 and 55 won back-to-back NFL titles. And this was also Otto Graham's career, the quarterback, from 1946 to 1955. So they won 7 of their 8 titles in the first 10 years. And, of course, 1964 was the 8th and last so far. Now, the owner of the Tribe in 1955 was Myron H. Wilson. He was the Tribe owner, head of the ownership group from 1953 to 1955. And Wilson and the other minority owners sold the team to William R. Daley, who was part of a 3-man syndicate on February 29th, 1956. So this was the end of Myron H. Wilson's time as head of the ownership group in Cleveland. He died in 1962 at the Cleveland Clinic at age 74. Myron H. Wilson. Hank Greenberg was back as Tribe general manager, and he was Tribe GM from 1950 to 1957. Regarding the 1955 season, Greenberg said, quote, "I always thought we were going to win it, and then I had to watch as the championship was snatched away from us in the last few days of the season. Jack Torrey wrote, quote, "The Cleveland farm system was Hank Greenberg's passion." In 1949, Greenberg was in charge of the Tribe minor league system. In 1950, MLB player development the total budget was $5 million, and the Tribe was spending $1 million. So the Tribe was really a leader in spending prioritizing and developing players. Greenberg spoke to the Tribe managers in the minor league system, and he said, quote, "Your jobs don't depend on whether or not you win or lose a pennant. Their job was to develop future MLB players." He said, quote, "We're in this for one reason, to make Cleveland the best baseball club in the country. Not for 1 year, but forever." Hank Greenberg. Jimmy Dudley was back as Tribe radio broadcaster on WERE radio, and Dudley was a Tribe radio broadcaster from 1948 to 1968. Jimmy Dudley. His partner on the radio was Ed Edwards at WERE radio, and Ed Edwards was a Tribe radio broadcaster just in 1954 and 1955. Ed Edwards. Ken Coleman was back as a Tribe TV broadcaster on WEWS TV, and Coleman was a Tribe TV broadcaster from 1954 to 1963, the father of Casey Coleman, Ken Coleman. Jim Britt was his partner on television on WEWS TV, and Britt was a Tribe TV broadcaster from 1954 to 1957. Al Lopez was back as Tribe manager, and he played for the Tribe in 1947, and he was Tribe manager from 1951 to 1956. After the 54 World Series, Lopez returned home to a hero's welcome in South Florida. There was a parade in Tampa, Florida, in his honor. October 6th was Al Lopez Day in Tampa, and they dedicated the city's new ballpark called Al Lopez Field. There was a parade through West Tampa, downtown Tampa, and Ybor City. Thousands came to that parade. There was a banner, "West Tampa is proud of you, Al." After asked what he thought about the day, Lopez smiled and pointed at his heart and said, "What can I say? It's just wonderful." Lopez once said, quote, "I used to warn my players not to antagonize anybody unnecessarily, especially the cellar clubs. Don't wake them up. Be nice to them. Joke with them. Get them relaxed. And then go out and beat their brains out. In a nice way." Al Lopez. Now, the coaching staff, Tony Cuccinello was back as a Tribe coach. Cuccinello was a coach for Cleveland from 1952 to 1956. Tony Cuccinello. Mel Harder was back as pitching coach. Harder played for the Tribe as a pitcher from 1928 to 1947. He was the Tribe pitching coach from 1948 to 1963. He threw out the first pitch at Cleveland Municipal Stadium in 1932 and the last ceremonial pitch at the stadium in 1993. Mel Harder. Red Kress was back as a Tribe coach, and he was a coach with Cleveland from 1953 to 1960. Red Kress. Bill Loeb was back, and Loeb was a Tribe coach from 1951 to 1956. Bill Loeb. The starting lineup, Jim Hegan was the catcher. Hegan batted .220 with 67 hits. He scored 30 runs, 5 doubles, 2 triples, 9 home runs, 40 RBIs, 34 walks in 116 games, and Hegan was with Cleveland from 1941 to 1942, and from 1946 to 1957. Jim Hegan. Vic Wirtz was at first base. Wirtz batted .253 with 65 hits. He scored 30 runs, 11 doubles, 2 triples, 14 home runs, 55 RBIs, a stolen base, 32 walks in 74 games. And Wirtz was with Cleveland from 1954 to 1958. He was stricken with polio on August 26th and missed the rest of the season, but he made a fine recovery. Vic Wirtz. Bobby Avila was at second base. Avila batted .272 with 146 hits. He scored 83 runs, 22 doubles, 4 triples, 13 home runs, 61 RBIs, a stolen base, 82 walks in 141 games. And Avila was with Cleveland from 1949 to 1958, and he made the All-Star team for the American League in 1955. Bobby Avila. George Strickland was at shortstop. Strickland batted .209 with 81 hits. He scored 34 runs, 9 doubles, 5 triples, 2 home runs, 34 RBIs, a stolen base, 49 walks in 130 games. And Strickland was with Cleveland from 1952 to 1957 and from 1959 to 1960. And he was a Tribe interim manager in 1964 and 1966. George Strickland. Al Rosen was at third base. Rosen batted .244 with 120 hits. He scored 61 runs, 13 doubles, a triple, 21 home runs, 81 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, 92 walks in 139 games. And Rosen was with Cleveland from 1947 to 1956. And he played for the American League All-Star team in 1955. Al Rosen. Ralph Kiner was in left field. Kiner batted .243 with 78 hits. 56 runs scored, 13 doubles, 18 home runs, 54 RBIs, 65 walks in 113 games. Kiner was born in 1922 in Santa Rita, New Mexico, and died in Rancho Mirage, California at age 91. In 2014, for his career, he batted .279 with 369 home runs and 1,015 RBIs. Kiner played for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Chicago Cubs, and Cleveland Indians from 1946 to 1955. This was the end of his MLB career. He was a 6-time All-Star from 1948 to 53, 7-time National League home run leader from 46 to 52, National League RBI leader in 49. The Pittsburgh Pirates retired his number 4. He's in the New York Mets Hall of Fame and was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1975. He was a general manager for the Pacific Coast League San Diego Padres from 1956 to 60. Injuries forced his retirement after only 10 years in baseball. Marty Noble wrote about Kiner. He called him, quote, one of baseball's genuine and most charming people. In the Second World War, Kiner served in the U.S. Navy as a pilot. He was of German and Scots-Irish ancestry and had a Jewish grandmother. Hank Greenberg gave him hours of instruction in Pittsburgh in 1947, near the end of Greenberg's playing career. And the left field porch at Forbes Field in Pittsburgh was called Kiner's Corner, which became the title of Kiner's post-game television show in New York City years later. In 1947, he had 54 home runs, the highest in MLB from 1939 to 1960. And the highest in the National League from 1931 to 1997. There's the famous quote, home run hitters drive Cadillacs and singles hitters drive Fords, which was misattributed to Kiner. Kiner's home run is shown in the 1951 movie Angels in the Outfield. In 1953, he was traded to the Cubs. And after Branch Rickey, general manager of the Pirates, said, quote, we finished last without you. We finished last with you. We can finish last without you. 1961, Kiner was a broadcaster for the White Sox, and from 62 to 2013, a broadcaster for the New York Mets. Sometimes he got people's names wrong. He called Tim McCarver Tim MacArthur, and Gary Carter Gary Cooper. He was a radio announcer for 53 years. His signature home run call was, it's gone, goodbye. In 1992, Sporting News ranked Kiner the 90th among the 100 greatest MLB players of all time. He broadcast the 1961 and 73 World Series. When he joined the Tribe in 55, he insisted that his salary be cut 40% instead of the 25% maximum cut allowed by MLB rule, and said, quote, maybe I should go to a psychiatrist, but this is not a grandstand play. I simply want my performance with the Indians to determine my future salary. Hank Greenberg said, quote, during the course of the 1955 season, I managed to trade for my old friend Ralph Kiner. Ralph Kiner. Larry Doby was in center field. Doby batted .291 with 143 hits. He scored 91 runs, 17 doubles, 5 triples, 26 home runs, 75 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 61 walks, and struck out 100 times in 131 games. Doby was a Tribe player from 1947 to 1955 and in 1958, and was a Tribe coach in 1974. He made the 1955 American League All-Star team. After the season, on October 25th, Doby was traded to the White Sox for Chico Carrascal and Jim Busby. Larry Doby. Al Smith was in right field. Smith batted .306 with 186 hits. He scored 123 runs, 27 doubles, 4 triples, 22 home runs, 77 RBIs, 11 stolen bases, 93 walks, and 154 games. Smith played for the Cleveland Buckeyes in the Negro Leagues from 1946 to 1948, and with the Indians from 1953 to 57 and in 1964. In 55, he was third in the American League in the MVP voting behind Yogi Berra and Al Kaline, and was the 1955 Tribe Man of the Year, and made the 1955 All-Star team. Al Lopez said, quote, If we didn't have Al Smith, I'd hate to look at our standing. Smith played left field, center field, right field, third base, shortstop, second base for the Tribe. In 55, Al Smith said, quote, What more could any manager ask for? Wes Singletary wrote, quote, Al Smith was perhaps most valuable for the cohesive role he played in the clubhouse, always smiling and keeping his teammates relaxed and happy. Al Smith. Now the bench players included Gene Woodling, who played some left field. Woodling batted .278 with 72 hits. He scored 33 runs, 15 doubles, a triple, 5 home runs, 35 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 36 walks in 79 games. And Woodling was with Cleveland in 1943, in 1946, and from 1955 to 1957. Gene Woodling. Ferris Fain played some first base. Fain batted .254 with 30 hits. He scored 9 runs, 3 doubles, 8 home runs, 8 RBIs rather, 3 stolen bases, 42 walks in 56 games. Fain was born in 1921 in San Antonio, Texas, and died in 2001 in Georgetown, California at age 80. For his career, he batted .290 with 48 home runs and 570 RBIs. Fain played for the Philadelphia Athletics, Chicago White Sox, Detroit Tigers, and Cleveland Indians from 1947 to 1955. So this was the end of his MLB career. He was a 5-time All-Star from 1950 to 54, 2-time American League batting champion in 1951 and 52. He's on the Philadelphia Wall of Fame. Fain had an explosive temper which affected his career. Later in life, he had trouble with the law from growing marijuana. His father was Oscar Fain, who was a jockey, who led the horse Duval to second place in the 1912 Kentucky Derby. In the Second World War, Fain had military service for 3 years. He was a top defensive first baseman. In 1988, he was sentenced to 18 months in prison for growing marijuana. He died of leukemia and diabetes in Placerville, California. Ferris Fain. Hal Narragon was a spare catcher. Narragon batted .323 with 41 hits. He scored 12 runs, 9 doubles, 2 triples, a home run, 14 RBIs, a stolen base, 15 walks in 57 games. And Narragon was with Cleveland in 1951. And from 1954 to 1959, Hal Narragon. Hank Foils was another spare catcher. Foils batted .261 with 29 hits. He scored 13 runs, 9 doubles, a home run, 7 RBIs, 17 walks in 62 games. And Foils was with Cleveland in 1953, from 1955 to 56, and in 1960, Hank Foils. Sam Denty played some shortstop. Denty batted .257 with 27 hits. He scored 10 runs, 4 doubles, 10 RBIs, 12 walks in 73 games. And Denty was with Cleveland in 1954 and 1955, and this was the end of his MLB career. Sam Denty. Dave Pope played some outfield. Pope batted .298 with 31 hits. He scored 17 runs, 5 doubles, 6 home runs, 22 RBIs, 12 walks in 35 games. Pope was with Cleveland in 1952, and from 1954 to 1956, Dave Pope. Dave Philly played some right field. Philly batted .298 with 31 hits. He scored 15 runs, 4 doubles, 2 triples, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, 12 walks in 43 games. And Philly was with Cleveland in 1954 and 1955. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1962. Dave Philly. Joe Altobelli played some first base. Altobelli batted .200 with 15 hits. He scored 8 runs, 3 doubles, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 5 walks in 42 games. Altobelli was born in 1932 in Detroit, Michigan, and he's still alive today in 2019 at age 87. During his playing career, he batted .210 with 5 home runs and 28 RBIs. Altobelli played for the Cleveland Indians and Minnesota Twins from 1955 to 1960. He was a manager for the San Francisco Giants from 1977 to 79 and for the Baltimore Orioles from 83 to 85 and with the Chicago Cubs in 1991. He won a World Series title as the manager of the Baltimore Orioles in 1983, their last title. The Rochester Red Wings retired as number 26. Over the decades, he was for over a decade the color commentator for the Rochester Red Wings in the minors. 1960 in the International League for the Montreal Royals, he led the league in home runs with 31 and RBIs with 105. 1951 with the Daytona Beach Islanders, he had a 36-game hitting streak and set a Florida state record which lasted until 2010. He played winter baseball in Venezuela for 5 years, had a batting title with Gavilanes de Maracaibo from 55 in the 55-56 winter, hitting .378. And his team won the title. He was a Yankee coach in 1981 and 82. When Earl Weaver retired after the 82 season, he became the manager. Altobelli became the manager of the Orioles. And as I said, won the 83 World Series as manager. And was a Yankee coach in 86 and 87, a Cubs coach from 88 to 91, a GM for Rochester in the minors from 91 to 94, and a color commentary from 98 to 2009 for Rochester. They called him Mr. Baseball in Rochester. In 2010, a statue of Altobelli was erected at the Rochester Frontier Field Concourse. And he's the only guy to be a player, coach, manager, and general manager for the Rochester Red Wings. He continues to live in Rochester. In the minor leagues, he played for the Columbus Jets. Joe Altobelli. Hoot Evers played some outfield. Evers batted .288 with 19 hits. He scored 10 runs, 7 doubles, a triple, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, 3 walks in 39 games. Evers was born in 1921 in St. Louis, Missouri, and died in 1991 in Houston, Texas at age 69. For his career, he batted .278 with 98 home runs and 565 RBIs. Evers played for the Detroit Tigers, Boston Red Sox, New York Giants, Baltimore Orioles, and Cleveland Indians from 1941 to 1956. He was a two-time All-Star in 48 and 50 with the Tigers. His nickname Hoot, he got that because he was devoted as a fan as a child to the films of Richard Hoot Gibson, who was a popular rodeo champion and pioneer cowboy film actor and director and producer of 75 films. Evers went to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, playing on the baseball and basketball teams. He had 4 years in the U.S. military in the Second World War. 1950, he hit for the cycle and a triple in the game, the only player to ever do that. 1950, he led American League outfielders in fielding percentage at .997. When he would bat in Detroit, the fans yelled, "Hoot, hoot," kind of like when Boog Powell would bat or Shin Soo Choo. He was a Tribe coach in 1970. In 1971, he was the Tigers' director of player development. And Tigers manager, Tigers and later also Marlins manager Jim Leyland said, quote, "Hoot Evers was probably the number one motivational guy for me. If I had to look back and pick one person that really motivated me and really let me know what it's about, it would be Hoot Evers." In the minors, Evers played for the Beaumont Exporters and Winston-Salem Twins. Hoot Evers. Dale Mitchell was a utility player. Mitchell batted .259 with 15 hits. He scored 4 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 10 RBIs, 4 walks in 61 games. And Mitchell was with Cleveland from 1946 to 1956. Dale Mitchell. Hank Majeski played some infield. Majeski batted .188 with 9 hits. He scored 3 runs, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 8 walks in 36 games. Majeski was with Cleveland from 1952 to 55. And 1955 was his last MLB season, so he retired. Hank Majeski. Bobby Young played some second base. Young batted .311 with 14 hits. He scored 7 runs, had a double, a triple, 6 RBIs, a walk in 18 games. Young was born in 1925 in Granite, Maryland, and died in 1985 in Baltimore, Maryland at age 60. For his playing career, he batted .249 with 15 home runs and 137 RBIs. Young played for the St. Louis Cardinals, St. Louis Browns, Baltimore Orioles, Cleveland Indians, and Philadelphia Phillies from 1948 to 1958. 1957 with the Miami Marlins infield. They had Young, Woody Smith, Mickey Micheletto, and Pancho Herrera. And one writer said, quote, "They made plays the Phillies couldn't." Young died of a heart attack at age 60 in Baltimore, Maryland. Bobby Young. Rudy Regalado played some infield. He batted .269 with 7 hits. He scored 2 runs, 2 doubles, 5 RBIs, 2 walks in 10 games. And Regalado was with Cleveland in 1954. From 1954 to 1956, Rudy Regalado. Wally Westlake batted .250 with 5 hits. He scored 2 runs, had a double, an RBI, 3 walks in 16 games. Westlake was with Cleveland from 1952 to 1955. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1956. Wally Westlake. Billy Harrell played some shortstop. Harrell batted .421 with 8 hits. He scored 2 runs, had an RBI, a stolen base, 3 walks in 13 games. Harrell was born in 1928 in Norristown, Pennsylvania, and died in 2014 in Albany, New York at age 85. During his playing career, he batted .231 with 8 home runs and 26 RBIs. Harrell played for the Cleveland Indians and Boston Red Sox. Between 1955 and 1961, he went to Siena College and he's in the Siena Athletics Hall of Fame. In 2006, he was the first Siena Saints basketball player to have his jersey number 10 retired. In the minors, he played for the Portland Beavers, Seattle Rainiers, and San Diego Padres. Billy Harrell. STU LOCKLIN played some outfield. LOCKLIN batted .167 with 3 hits. He scored 4 runs, had a double, 3 walks in 16 games. LOCKLIN was born in 1928 in Appleton, Wisconsin, and died in 2016 in Albuquerque, New Mexico at age 88. His career was just with Cleveland in 1955. Also in 56, they called him Lefty. In high school, he was in the National Honor Society. He went to the University of Michigan playing on the baseball and football teams. In 1952, he enlisted in the U.S. Air Force and served until 1954. He was in the 1959 Junior World Series, playing for the Minneapolis Millers against a team from Cuba. And the games were played in Cuba because of bad weather in Minneapolis. Cuban dictator Fidel Castro attended the games. At one point, Castro approached LOCKLIN. He pointed at a 6-gun on his hip and said, quote, "Tonight we win." In the minor leagues, LOCKLIN played for the Wisconsin Badgers. STU LOCKLIN. Rocky Colavito played some right field. Colavito batted .444 with 4 hits and 9 at-bats. He scored 3 runs, had 2 doubles in 5 games. Colavito was born in 1933 in New York, New York, and is still alive today in 2019 at age 85. During his playing career, he batted .266 with 374 home runs and 1,159 RBIs. Colavito played for the Cleveland Indians, Detroit Tigers, Kansas City Athletics, Chicago White Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers, and New York Yankees. From 1955 to 1968, he was a nine-time All-Star. From 2 All-Star games in 1959, 1961, 2 games in 62, and from 64 to 66. He was the American League home run leader in 59 and hit 4 home runs in 1 game on June 10th, 1959 for Cleveland. He's in the Tribe Hall of Fame. In 1965, he became the first American League outfielder to have a perfect 1,000 fielding percentage. He's the 5th player in American League history with 20 home runs in 11 consecutive years. He currently lives in Berks County, Pennsylvania. Colavito was born and raised in the Bronx, New York City, and rooted for the Yankees and Joe DiMaggio as a child. At age 16, he dropped out of high school to play baseball. He had a strong throwing arm. In 1956, in the Pacific Coast League, he threw a ball 436 feet over the center field wall. In 1958, he pitched 3 scoreless innings for the Tribe. In 1959, with the Tribe, he hit 42 home runs and became the first Cleveland Indian to have consecutive 40-plus home run seasons. He was a fan favorite in Cleveland because he was handsome, approachable, and would accommodate fans for autographs. On April 17, 1960, he was traded by the Tribe by general manager Frank Lane to Detroit for Harvey Keene 2 days before opening day. It was a bad trade and very unpopular. Colavito was a fan's favorite, and he was the Tribe's best hitter. He returned to the Tribe in '65 in a trade that sent Tommy John, who won 286 games, and Tommy Agee, who became the '66 American League Rookie of the Year. That was another bad trade. In 72, he was a Tribe TV broadcaster. He was a Tribe coach in 73, TV broadcaster in 75, a coach in 76 and a broadcaster that year, and a Tribe coach in 77 and 78. He was a Kansas City Royals coach in 82 and 83. In 76, Colavito was voted the most memorable Tribe personality in team history. In 2006, he was inducted into the Tribe Hall of Fame. There was a 1994 book by Terry Pluto called The Curse of Rocky Colavito, and he makes the point that the trade of Colavito in 60 from the Tribe led to the Tribe's downward spiral for the next 30 years. Rocky Colavito. Stan Pawlowski played some second base. Pawlowski batted .125 with 1 hit and 8 at-bats in 2 games. Pawlowski was born in 1931 in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, and is still alive today in 2019 at age 87. His MLB career was just with the Cleveland in 55. In the minors, he played for the San Diego Padres and played for the Temple Owls college baseball team. Stan Pawlowski. Kenny Kuhn played some shortstop. Kuhn batted .333 with 2 hits and 6 at-bats. He had an RBI and a walk in 4 games. Kuhn was born in 1937 in Louisville, Kentucky, and died in 2010 in Layton, Vermont at age 73. His playing career was with the Cleveland Indians from 1955 to 1957. He was a bonus baby. Before Muhammad Ali in 1955, possibly the greatest all-around athlete to come out of Louisville, Kentucky. He played in the minor leagues until 1963. After he retired, he worked for Kentucky Fried Chicken, Mr. Donut, and the Children's Discovery Centers. In 1999, he moved to Truckee, California, and worked at the Lake Tahoe Resort. Died of pancreatic cancer. In the minors, he played for the Dallas Rangers, Mobile Bears, Salt Lake City Bees, and Jacksonville Suns. Kenny Kuhn. Harry Simpson batted 3 times, did not have a hit. He scored a run, walked twice in 3 games. And Simpson was with Cleveland from 1951 to 1953 and in 1955. Harry Simpson. Pitching staff was anchored by Early Wynn, the ace pitcher. Wynn was 17-11 with an ERA of 2.82, 32 games, 31 starts, 16 complete games, 6 shutouts, 230 innings pitched, and 122 strikeouts. Wynn batted .179 with 15 hits. He scored 8 runs, 3 doubles, a home run, 7 RBIs, 6 walks, and struck out 17 times. Wynn played with Cleveland from 1949 to 1957 and in 1963. He won his 200th career game September 7th in 55, a 6-0 victory against Baltimore, and played for the American League All-Star team in 1955. Early Wynn. Herb Score was 16-10 with an ERA of 2.85, 33 games, 32 starts, 11 complete games, 2 shutouts, 227 and a third innings pitched, and a league-leading 245 strikeouts. Score batted .119 with 10 hits. He scored 5 runs, had a double, 2 RBIs, 3 walks, and struck out 40 times. Score was born in 1933 in Rosedale, New York, and died in 2008 in Rocky River, Ohio at age 75. For his playing career, he was 55-46 with an ERA of 3.36 and 837 strikeouts. He played for the Cleveland Indians and Chicago White Sox from 1955 to 1962. So he was a rookie in 55. 2-time All-Star in 55 and 56. Rookie of the Year in 1955. 2-time American League strikeout leader in 55 and 56. He was inducted into the Tribe Hall of Fame in 2006. Was a Tribe TV and radio broadcaster from 1964 to 1997. At age 3, he was run over by a truck. He also had rheumatic fever as a boy. He threw 6 no-hitters in high school for Lake Worth Community High School in Lake Worth, Florida. He won the state. On that team won the state baseball's title. The school's only one. In the minors, he played for the Reading Indians, and his roommate became lifetime friend Rocky Colavito. 1954, he was the Sporting News Minor League Player of the Year. In 55, he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. 1955, his 245 strikeouts was a rookie record, which lasted until 1984 when it was broken by Dwight Gooden. May 7th of 57 at Cleveland Stadium, Tribe playing the Yankees the first inning. Score on the mound. Gil McDougall hit a line drive that hit Score in the face and broke his facial bones and injured his eye. He missed the rest of the season. In 58, he injured a tendon, which led to ineffectiveness and really the decline of his career. He had the longest career of any Tribe broadcaster. and was revered by fans for his low voice, low-key style, and occasionally mispronouncing names. His last game as a Tribe broadcaster was Game 7 of the 1997 World Series. On October 8, 1988, he was involved in a severe car accident, had trauma to the brain, chest, and lungs, and more than a month of intensive care. Difficult recovery, but he threw out the first pitch on opening day in 1999. However, he had a stroke in 2002 and died 2008. The Tribe wore a patch in 2009 to honor him. And he's buried at Lakewood Cemetery in Rocky River, Ohio. And he made the All-Star team in 1955. Herb score. Bob Lemon was 18-10 with an ERA of 3.88, 35 games, 31 starts, 5 complete games, 2 saves, 211 and a third innings pitched, and 100 strikeouts. Lemon batted .244 with 19 hits. He scored 11 runs, had a home run, 9 RBIs, 13 walks, and struck out 16 times in 49 games. Lemon was with Cleveland from 1941 to 1942, and from 1946 to 1958, and was a Tribe coach in 1960. Bob Lemon. Mike Garcia was 11-13 with an ERA of 4.02, 38 games, 31 starts, 6 complete games, 2 shutouts, 3 saves, 210 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 120 strikeouts. Garcia batted .217 with 15 hits. He scored 4 runs, had 4 doubles, 7 RBIs, 4 walks, and struck out 14 times. Garcia was with Cleveland from 1948 to 1959. Mike Garcia. Ray Narleski was the closer. Narleski was 9-1 with an ERA of 3.71, 60 games, 1 start, 1 complete game, 19 saves, 111 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 94 strikeouts. Narleski batted .292 with 7 hits and 5 RBIs and struck out 8 times. He was with Cleveland from 1954 to 1958. Ray Narleski. Art Houdeman was 10-6 with an ERA of 3.98, 35 games, 12 starts, 3 complete games, a shutout, 124 and a third innings pitched, and 53 strikeouts. Houdeman batted .158 with 6 hits. He scored 5 runs, had 3 walked 3 times, and struck out 4 times. And Houdeman was with Cleveland from 1953 to 1957. Art Houdeman. Bob Feller was 4-4 with an ERA of 3.47. 25 games, 11 starts, 2 complete games, a shutout, a save, 83 innings pitched, and 25 strikeouts. Feller batted .048 with 1 hit and 21 at-bats. He had a walk and struck out 12 times. Feller was with Cleveland from 1936 to 1941, and from 1945 to 1956, and was a Tribe Goodwill Ambassador till the end of his life. On May 1st, he threw his 12th career one-hitter, a 2-0 victory in the first game of a doubleheader at the stadium against Boston. And in Game 2, Herb Score had 16 strikeouts, and the Tribe got the sweep with a 2-1 victory. July 24th was Bob Feller's 266th and final victory of his career. On August 27th at the stadium, a 7-6 victory against the Yankees before 34,000 fans. Feller's mom died of lung cancer 2 months after the '54 World Series on her 60th birthday, December 3rd, 1954. In '55, Feller and his wife, Virginia, had 3 sons. Virginia became addicted to barbiturates and amphetamines. Feller said, quote, "Things at home became an uninterrupted torture." His wife become a drug addict, very tragic. Feller wrote, quote, "Anyone who has been dealt that knows that the emotional burden is even worse than the financial one. I got my wife the best help I could, including several days for her at the Mayo Clinic and other treatment centers." Feller did not pitch in the '54 World Series, and he made a joke out of it, and he said, quote, "As far as the World Series with the Giants is concerned, I had nothing to do with it." Bob Feller. Don Massey was a relief pitcher. Massey was 4-3 with an ERA of 2.42, 57 games, 1 start, 9 saves, 81 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 69 strikeouts. Massey batted .111 with 1 hit and 9 at-bats, 2 walks, and struck out 4 times. He was with Cleveland from 1954 to 1958. Don Massey. Jose Santiago was 2-0 with an ERA of 2.48, 17 games, 32 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 19 strikeouts. Santiago batted .500 with 2 hits and 4 at-bats. He scored 2 runs, had a walk. Santiago was with Cleveland from 1954 to 55. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1956. Jose Santiago. Sal Magley was 0-2 with an ERA of 3.86, 10 games, 2 starts, 2 saves, 25 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 11 strikeouts. He batted 5 times, did not have a hit, had 2 RBIs, a walk, and struck out twice. Magley was born in 1917 in Niagara Falls, New York, and died in 1992 in Niagara Falls at age 75. For his career, he was 119 and 62 with an ERA of 3.15 and 862 strikeouts. Magley pitched for the New York Giants, Cleveland Indians, Brooklyn Dodgers, New York Yankees, and St. Louis Cardinals from 1945 to 1958. He's a 2-time All-Star in 51 and 52, won a World Series title in 54 with the Giants against Cleveland. He was a National League wins leader in 51, National League ERA leader in 50. He had to throw a no-hitter on September 25th, 56 for the Dodgers. They called him Sal the Barber because he gave close shaves because he would pitch inside to hitters. He also had a 5 o'clock shadow. He went to Mexico in 46, was banned by MLB, but the ban was lifted in 49. By 56, he was second in the first balloting for the Cy Young Award. That was the first, 56 was the first time, and he was second. Game 5 of the World Series, 56, he was the pitcher for Brooklyn when Don Larson threw a perfect game for the Yankees. He taught Don Drysdale to throw the brushback pitch. 59, he was a scout for the Cardinals, and in 60 to 62, he was a Red Sox coach, also from 66 to 67. And in 69, he was a coach for the Seattle Pilots. In 67, with the Red Sox, Jim Lomberg, who won the Cy Young Award, gave Magley credit for his success. Jim Bouton's book, Ball 4, there's a scene where Darrell Brandon was pitching, and Rod Carew was at third base and had a big lead, and so he's thinking about pitching from the stretch. And then Magley from the dugout, as the pitching coach yelled, "Carew's not going anywhere." So the pitcher went into a full windup, and Carew stole home. And then Magley said, "Damn it, you got to pitch from the stretch in that situation." He appeared in the TV show What's My Line before the Game 5 of the 56 World Series. There's Sal Magley Stadium in Niagara Falls in his honor. In 83, there was the world's shortest baseball excursion for a ceremony. There was a bus with his family and friends to the stadium grill, 200 yards. They drove into the stadium. In the minors, he played for the Elmira Pioneers, Niagara Purple Eagles, and the Jamestown Falcons. Sal Magley. Bill White was a relief pitcher. White had no decisions and an ERA of 2.63. 17 games, a save, 24 innings pitched, and 9 strikeouts. He did not bat. White was with Cleveland in 1953 and 1955. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1958. Bill White. Hank Aguirre was 2-0 with an ERA of 1.42. 4 games, a start, a complete game, a shutout, 12 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 6 strikeouts. Aguirre batted 4 times, did not have a hit. He struck out once. He was born in 1931 in Azusa, California, and died in 1994 in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan at age 63. For his career, he was 75 and 72 with an ERA of 3.25 and 856 strikeouts. Aguirre played for the Cleveland Indians, Detroit Tigers, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Chicago Cubs from 1955 to 1970. 2-time All-Star in 61 and 62 with the Tigers. American League ERA leader in 62. He was of Mexican descent. They called him Mex. His parents were Mexican immigrants. His father came during the Mexican Revolution. As a youth, he worked for his father's business, Aguirre Tortillas Factory in San Gabriel, California. In 56, he struck out Ted Williams. After the game, he asked Williams to sign the ball, who did reluctantly. A couple weeks later, Williams hit a home run off Aguirre, and as he was circling the bases, he said, quote, "Get that ball and I'll sign it too." Aguirre was a Cubs coach from 72 to 74. He was an A's coach in the minors from 75 to 76. In 79, he founded Mexican Industries in Detroit, a company that supplied specialized parts to the American automobile manufacturers industry, and became a multi-million-dollar business. 1987, he was Businessman of the Year for the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. In the minors, he played for the Duluth Dukes, Peoria Chiefs, and Bakersfield Indians. Hank Aguirre. Bud Daley was 0-1 with an ERA of 6.43. 2 games, a start, 7 innings pitched, and 2 strikeouts. He batted twice and did not have a hit. He was born in 1932 in Orange, California, And today, in 2019, he's still alive at age 86. For his career, he was 60-64 with an ERA of 4.03 and 549 strikeouts. He played for the Cleveland Indians, Kansas City Athletics, and New York Yankees from 1955 to 64. Three-time All-Star from 1959 to 1960. Won World Series titles twice in 61 and 62 with the Yankees. He was successful in public relations, a skilled speaker in the off-season. He would go to 72 towns in 6 states. He threw a knuckleball. He was signed by the Tribe because of his friendship with Bob Lemon, for whom he babysat Lemon's children. As an older man, he shot golf in the low 80s and was a proficient fisherman. Bud Daley. Hal Newhouser had no decisions and an ERA of 0.00, 2 games, 2 1/3 innings pitched, 0 earned runs allowed, and 1 strikeout. He did not bat. Newhouser was with Cleveland in 1954 to 1955, and this was the end of his MLB career. Hal Newhouser. And finally, Ted Gray had no decisions and an ERA of 18.00, 2 games, 2 innings pitched, and 4 earned runs allowed. He had a strikeout. He did not bat. Gray was born in 1924 in Detroit, Michigan, and died in 2011 in Delray Beach, Florida, at age 86. For his career, he was 59-74 with an ERA of 4.37 and 687 strikeouts. Gray played for the Detroit Tigers, Chicago White Sox, Cleveland Indians, New York Yankees, and Baltimore Orioles from 1946 to 1955. He was an All-Star in 1950 with the Tigers. In the Second World War, he was in the U.S. Navy. He was a power pitcher. He was released by 4 teams in the 55 season. Only 2 other players played for 4 teams in 1 season. Ted Gray. In the 1955 World Series, the Brooklyn Dodgers, the National League champions, defeated the New York Yankees, the American League champions, 4 games to 3. It was the first and only Brooklyn Dodgers title. They moved to Los Angeles after the 57th season. The MVP of the World Series was Johnny Padres. Hall of Famers in the series for the Dodgers included Walt Alston manager Roy Campanella, Sandy Koufax, who did not play, Pee Wee Reese, Jackie Robinson, Duke Snyder, and Tommy Lasorda, who did not play. For the Yankees, Casey Stengel manager Yogi Berra, Whitey Ford, Mickey Mantle, Phil Rizzuto, Now in Sandy Amoros of the Dodgers made a big catch, a memorable catch in left field in the 6th inning of Game 7. And he was this black Cuban. He started a double play. Game 7 ended at 4:44 p.m. Francis Sugru of the Herald Tribune wrote, quote, "The 4th of July, New Year's Eve, St. Patrick's Day, VE Day, and Bastille Day all in one. Add to that a touch of Mardi Gras. Big celebration in Brooklyn, New York. The last out, Elston Howard hit a ground ball to Pee Wee Reese, who threw to Gil Hodges at first base. Roger Kahn wrote, quote, somehow Pee Wee Reese and I ended up toasting the universe on West 57th Street. His face was shining, a child's face when school is out or when Christmas morning has finally come. Can I ask you something, Pee Wee? Sure. 2 outs in the 9th. You've played in 5 losing World Series teams. You're 1 out away from winning a series. Elston Howard's up. What were you thinking? I'm thinking I hope he doesn't hit the ball to me. I read a fine book. The title is Praying for Gil Hodges, a memoir of the 1955 World Series and one family's love of the Brooklyn Dodgers by Thomas Oliphant, 2005. Thomas Oliphant wrote, quote, the Brooklyn Dodgers were the epitome of deserving underdogism, just as the New York Yankees symbolized Roman Empire-like success and intimidating mastery. 1970s happy endings. In the 1970s, there was a TV show program, Happy Endings, on ABC TV. There was an elderly character named Sammy Margolis who said, quote, you see the cap? Brooklyn Dodgers of 55. I do them honor. Nobody came to take their place. They took Ebbets Field away. You take the pyramids away from Egypt, all you got is sand and rotten weather. Johnny Padres was the starting pitcher for Game 7 of the World Series, and he said, quote, the Brooklyn Dodgers will never win another championship. The events of that day, Game 7, are frozen forever. Thomas Oliphant wrote, quote, beginning in September, you learned the meaning of dread with the Brooklyn Dodgers as the World Series approached. Gil Hodges was beloved in Brooklyn, a person a person parents wanted their kids to emulate. He was not just quiet and well-mannered. He also worked ceaselessly, hustled like a rookie, and never complained. Brooklyn was a teeming collection of distinct neighborhoods on a unique scale, at once a destination and a gateway with long, strong ties to hearts all over the country. The Dodgers symbolized struggle and represented millions of dispersed Brooklyn emigres. In 1952, Gil Hodges went 0-21 in the World Series, and the slump continued into the 1953 season. He was benched. May of 1953, Reverend Herbert Redmond was saying Mass at a Catholic church in Brooklyn, and he said, quote, "It's far too hot for a sermon. Keep the commandments and say a prayer for Gil Hodges," which was memorialized in an Arthur Daley New York Times column. Hodges started to hit again after that. Duke Snider said, quote, "The Yankees were admired, but the Dodgers were loved. The Yankees were the ultimate professionals. They even wore pinstripes. We were the colorful, scrappy underdogs." As I said, the last out of the 55 World Series, Johnny Padres pitched. Elston Howard hit a ground ball, and Pee Wee Reese fielded it at short and threw him out to Gil Hodges at first base. Thomas Oliphant, who was 10 years old and was at home with his father, was watching the game on black and white TV and said, quote, "There was a pause before all hell broke loose." Vin Scully, the TV announcer, said, quote, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Brooklyn Dodgers are the champions of the world." Thomas Oliphant wrote, quote, "My father stood up, tears streaming down his face, his arms outstretched. I sprang off the Davenport and flew into his arms." What happened later when the Dodgers left Brooklyn in 1957 has never come close to the durability of what happened in 1955, still the source of wonder and joy. Now, the MVPs for 1955 in the American League was Yogi Berra of the New York Yankees. There are wonderful stories about him. One of the stories, Yogi Berra's wife said to him, quote, "I went to see Dr. Zhivago last night." And Berra responded, "What's wrong with you now?" He gave a speech in his honor, and he said, quote, "I want to thank you for making this night necessary." And he said this about the restaurant Toots Shore, quote, "Nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded." And the MVP in the National League was Roy Campanella of the Brooklyn Dodgers. So that's the story of the 1955 Cleveland Indians, and I think Tribe fans were happy for the Brooklyn Dodgers because they're underdogs as well. And God bless the guys who played for the Cleveland Indians in 1955 and everyone else associated with the team, including the fans, especially the First World War veterans, Second World War veterans, and Korean War veterans. Captains of the Cuyahoga, lovers of Lake Erie, Terminal Tower Power, fans of the Free Stamp statue and the Fountain of Eternal Life, Euclid Avenue Electricity, Severance Hall stalwarts, Cleveland Museum of Art enthusiasts, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum rebels, Christmas Story House happy people, Museum of Contemporary Art maniacs, Cleveland Botanical Garden goers, Old Arcade admirers, Playhouse Square seers, Settlers Landing Park purists, Western Reserve Historical Society wonders, First Energy Stadium friends, Progressive Field pals, Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse renegades, Cuyahoga Valley National Park pioneers, Great Lakes Science Center supporters, and Holden Arboretum enjoyers. Tribe, Browns, Cavs, Monsters, Gladiators, and Fusion rule. And in memory, Spiders, Bulldogs, Rosenblums, Barons, Rams, Crusaders, Force, Crunch, Lumberjacks, and Rockers rule. Cleveland, City of Champions. Cleveland is the best location in the nation. On the north coast of America. New York is the Big Apple. Cleveland is a plum. The Tribe is... it's been 71 years since 1948. This is our year. Go Tribe, you gotta believe, to quote Tug McGraw from the 73 Mets. And anything is possible, to quote Kevin Garnett from the 2008 Celtics. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care. And I'll see you next time.